Good morning and welcome to BS with Becca. Today, it's not what you're thinking. BS is be sharing. And by that, I mean be sharing of your time and your talents and your resources and your knowledge. So this morning, I am going to be sharing a little bit. Hi, whoever joined me. Glad to have you here. Send me a chat if you want to tell me who you are or have a question for me or have a BS idea. Everybody knows what this is. Pool noodle, right? So I got this really great idea yesterday. I learned it. I'm stealing it from somebody else, actually a Canadian. But she said that she works in a charity organization in a community, and she's having to teach when people come to pick up it was like food bank stuff. She has to teach them to stay apart from each other. So she's bought pool noodles. And she makes them stand a pool noodle apart. So it ends up being about 6 feet away. So she'll say to people, instead of saying stand apart or do social distancing, she'll say, do you pass the noodle test? And so I just love this idea that we need to think about. Does it pass the noodle test? We all have to stand a pool noodle away from each other. So that's my sharing of my first sharing with you this morning. The second thing is I was thinking, yesterday I was talking about how to make yourself feel better, and you deserve to feel better, and we should all take care of ourselves. But what's really remarkable is one of the ways we can take care of ourselves is also to give of our time and talents and resources to others, because it actually makes us feel better when we do that. I got a couple of really quick stories I tell you. I actually, after the tsunami back in 2004, I had a woman who had lost her leg in the tsunami, and she didn't even speak English. She was a very poor woman, but I brought her about 8 months later when the tsunami happened. Katrina happened. I brought her to Mississippi, and she repaired the house of a blind man, and he man from Mississippi, and she got to meet him. And even though they couldn't even speak the same language, she with both differently abled, she with no leg, him being blind, they totally connected. And the fact that she could help him, I just watched her rise up in dignity. She felt better about herself, and she was it was like in that moment she grew. It was beautiful. So the idea that when we give to others, we're actually improving our own dignity. Also, there's a really great study. I'll put a link to it down here underneath. Oh, here come the cows. I'll put a link to it down below. It's a study about money and whether money can buy happiness. And they found out that if we just get money, lots of it, and spend it on ourselves, it actually doesn't make us happy. It's actually when you spend it on other people, the degree of your happiness rises. And they did all kinds. It's a really fascinating. It was actually a business school did the study, and they had teams get together, and they gave each one $20, and they told them a bunch of groups they gave it and had them just spend it on themselves. And then another group, they asked them to spend it on another person in the group. And you can imagine the group that just spent it on themselves, they almost even like a week later didn't even remember what they spent the money on. But the ones who spent it on somebody else remembered what that person did with it and how happy it made that person to get the money, and how they spent time trying to think about how to spend that money on the other person. And it gave them such happiness to see that other person get that, have that money. So I was thinking, actually, how can we be sharing of ourselves during this lockdown? And so I've come up with a few ideas. I'll also put links down below to help you do these things. But one of the things I'd said a few days ago about buying stamps, that we need to support our postal service in this tough time. And we should be writing letters to people, writing old-fashioned letters. It's such a great idea. So think about someone who's alone, shut in maybe, who in your community, who you aren't able to go and visit or hug or deliver anything to. Write them a letter, a good old-fashioned letter. I went and bought a bunch of stamps yesterday, and I'm going to start writing letters every day to people I know that are shut in. So that's a great way to be sharing. Also, apparently, if you're willing to do this, and if you're in a bigger city, blood drives, they're desperate for blood right now. And of course, as you can imagine, the Red Cross is excellent at making sure there's no chance of you getting any kind of contact. So it's very safe to go and do blood drives. It's all set up with physical distancing, with all kinds of sanitation measures, so that you do not have to worry about getting any kind of infection. So if you can sign up for to give blood, they're desperate for it right now. Another thing is food drives. Please contribute to your local food pantry. If you can't actually, the cow agrees. You need to contribute to your local food drives. The two things they need the most are baby formula and peanut butter. And I also heard a really good idea yesterday online. Someone said that what they did was they put they actually had a trailer for the back of their car. If you don't have this, you can't do it. But they just put a container, a receptacle out at the end of their driveway, and had people from their neighborhood drop stuff in there. Maybe you could get a tote with a plastic lid so it doesn't get wet. But just tell people to put stuff in there, and then after a couple of days, or after, tell people, your neighbors, you're going to do this. Have them drop stuff in there, and then you are the one who drives it to the food pantry. Just think of creative ways to be sharing in this time. So this is my idea. This is my thing for today. How can you, in the midst of this, be sharing of your time and talent and resources, and how important that is? First of all, it'll make you feel better, and it'll make this world a better place. Thanks for joining me today. Our BS is Be Sharing. Always think of ways you can be sharing all of the wonderful gifts that you have already been given. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time on BS with Becca. And don't forget the noodle test. Stay apart. Bye.